the fact that when everyone's in bed, I then make sure everywhere's tidy because I hate coming down in the morning and there's cups and plates.
What is it that makes David Beckham clean for hours when everyone's asleep and makes Steve Jobs switch his license plate for a car every 6 months? It's the thoughts they're stuck on. Did you know that 3 out of 4 people between the ages of 25 and 35 are chronic overthinkers? Yes, you heard that right. And if you're 18 and on social media, don't celebrate just yet. Looks like you're a perfect overthinking candidate too. Sometimes, the thoughts we get stuck on are the ones trying to make us visible to others on social media. Which photo should I post? I spent all day taking 100 of them just for this one post. Okay, I have to pick one. Wait, think. Gotta find the perfect caption to teach them a lesson. Let me check who saw my story. Other times, those same thoughts stop us from tasting the sweetness of Salah. Now let's test if you really are an overthinker. Alright, I'm going to ask you 5 questions from this series, and together, we'll see just how obsessed you are with overthinking. Don't forget your answers. Do you spend hours analyzing text messages, wondering, what did they really mean by that? Were they implying something? Do you constantly fight with yourself over the past? Are you a pro at imagining the worst-case scenarios before making any decision? Do you ever find yourself in prayer thinking, what raka am I on? Is this the 3rd or 4th? Do you question whether you washed your arms during ablution? If you answered yes to at least 3 of these, congrats, you're officially that overthinking girl. You know what? You can avoid these thoughts completely. Nope, I won't say that, because that's impossible. But here's what I can guarantee you. We may not be able to erase these thoughts, but we can manage them. And today, I'm going to share exactly how I learned to manage my overthinking and intrusive thoughts. Ready? Let's dive in. The moment we lay our heads on our pillows at night, our brain decides it's showtime, as if they haven't been running all day. Mine usually kicks off with a series of regrets. I wish you hadn't said that. I wish you hadn't done that. Then it moves on to endless what ifs. How is this going to happen? What would have happened if things had been that way? And finally, the grand finale. Why am I like this? How can one person be this ridiculous? Before I completely lost my mind, I did some research, and guess what I found? Turns out, 3 out of 4 people between the ages of 18 and 35 struggle with overthinking, just like me. Honestly, that was a relief to hear. So, I'm going to share some of my most effective strategies for overcoming these intrusive thoughts. And trust me, I saved the best one for last. Let's get started. You want to offer your worship to your Lord in the best way possible. But at the same time, you're battling 100 different versions of intrusive thoughts. Sometimes, disturbing images pop into your mind, even while praying in front of the Kaaba. And then you start thinking, how could I even think like that? And you begin losing hope. You feel like your self-respect is fading away. At some point, it turns into a full-on obsession. You start questioning everything like, oh, did I lock the door? Did I turn off the stove? Did I unplug the iron? And even you find yourself going all the way back home just to check. First, let's ask ourselves this. Is this my thought or from the whisperings of the shaitan? Identify it. The answer is in the question itself, actually. If something is bothering me and I'm trying to fight it, how can it truly be mine? If my heart is uncomfortable with it, then it's not mine. It's just a whisper from shaitan. Anyway, Waswasah means baseless doubts. So if shaitan is overwhelming me with questions like, was this accepted? What should I do? The thing that I should do is very simple. I search for the answer and educate myself in fiqh. So I learn the truth and evade the doubts. And sometimes it's not just doubts from lack of knowledge. We also struggle with thoughts like, sometimes I see ugly scenes in my mind. What if I've lost my faith? Or, are my prayers even accepted despite all these sins I've committed? Or, why am I like this? Actually, there's this mechanism in the brain. When worrying thoughts come, the brain takes one of 2 paths. It ignores, saying, this is nonsense, and shifts focus. Or it engages with it and tries to fight it. And the real chaos begins when we struggle with control and latch onto these thoughts. First, let's accept this truth. We can't get rid of thoughts by fighting them. If I tell you, don't think about a white bear, what comes to your mind? A white bear, of course. Fighting a thought is like stirring up a beehive. What would happen if you poke a beehive with a stick? The more you poke, the more bees swarm. So, when you get obsessed with a thought, or it triggers more thinking, it increases your anxiety. You get nauseous from uncertainty. Your stress levels go through the roof. So, is there any remedy for this? Okay, got it. I won't kick them away. But what should I do? The solution is very simple, yet effective. 2. Do not take them seriously. Imagine an annoying person trying to get under your skin, saying stuff just to mess with you. But you stay cool, unfazed. No matter how much Shaitan whispers, if we ignore him and accept that his whispers are just part of life, those intrusive thoughts will start to fade away. Think of it like receiving spam messages on WhatsApp. If you open and reply, you'll get more. If you ignore them, they'll stop coming. The best way to deal with intrusive thoughts? Don't take them seriously. Tested and proven, it actually works. Actually, Shaitan's entire strategy is very simple. Shaitan's game is actually pretty simple, isn't it? First, fill them with doubts. Then, drain their patience. Next, make them lose hope. And just like that, mission accomplished. They abandoned their worship. We need to be aware of this. He's made a promise to try and mislead us. If we accept this reality and focus on managing it, everything will start to fall into place in a healthy way. And inshallah, at the end of the story, we will be among those with taqwa, who do not fall for Shaitan's traps. You know, once a companion of the Prophet, peace be upon him, went to him and complained that they sometimes had waswasahs they didn't even dare to mention. Our Prophet, peace be upon him, told him that it indicated a definite and pure belief. You know how a thief doesn't break into an empty house? They go after homes with valuables. It's the same with Shaitan. He's after the precious faith in your heart. He doesn't want that faith to move you into action, because maybe, just maybe, with that faith, you'll worship in a way, you'll do such incredible things that Shaitan has to try and stop you. Sometimes he attacks through your worship. Other times, he distracts you with worries about the past and the future. 3. Write it down and throw it away. Researchers conducted a study with 49 healthy adults over 3 days and split the participants into 2 groups. Group 1 wrote about upsetting experiences for 20 minutes each day. Group 2 only wrote about their daily routines. 2 weeks later, they made a tiny biopsy wound on their arms and monitored the healing process for 21 days. And they witnessed something unbelievable. By day 11, 76% of the first group's wounds had completely healed, compared to only 42% in the second group. Writing helps, not just with mental wounds, but even with physical ones. So if something is bothering you, write it down, then throw it away. It will make you feel better.
As the Eternal Passenger Women Volunteer Team, with your help, we have already inspired many people to embrace Islam, wear hijab, and start praying. You can support this effort by clicking the Super Thanks button or donating to our Patreon to change even more lives, inshallah, because we believe that changing one woman's life can shape the future of an entire generation.
And the last trick. 4. Stay in the present. Shortly, we're going to try 2 psychology-based exercises to help us focus on the present. But first, let's ask ourselves, why can't we stay in the present? Yes, there is a never-ending thought factory that never stops producing even when we are resting. It keeps running while we're working, while we're in the bathroom, even when we're just trying to fall asleep. And the tiny, almond-sized thing responsible for all of this is the amygdala. Sometimes it fixates on the past and triggers self-blaming sessions. Why didn't I clap back at that girl in 9th grade who mocked me while everyone was around? Why did they roll their eyes at me today? I must have said something ridiculously stupid again. Sometimes it just won't sit still and starts stressing us out about days that haven't even arrived yet. What's going to happen? What if this doesn't work out? What if it all goes wrong? These thoughts show up like uninvited guests, and then they try to settle in. While we're wrestling with these thoughts, what's actually happening in our brains? Let's take a look. Our brain naturally perceives uncertainty as a threat. To protect us, it activates the amygdala, the part responsible for detecting danger and triggering our fight or flight response. But the amygdala becomes overly sensitive. It starts overreacting to everything. That's when the chaos begins. Logical thinking gets suppressed. We lose control over our thoughts. And suddenly, we're drowning in a flood of endless worries. Our brain holds on to negative memories much longer than positive ones. And just when we think we've moved on, it digs them up again, making us relive those emotions all over again. As if that's not enough, it also piles on new fears and anxieties about the future. Another reason for this might be perfectionism. And before you say, "Oh, but I'm not a perfectionist," don't celebrate just yet. If you're on social media, you're already a potential perfectionist. Think about it. Scrolling through your feed, watching people's seemingly perfect, stylish, and happy lives. Over time, that becomes your new normal, and without even realizing it, you start pressuring yourself to fit into that mold. And you might find yourself caught up in stress and anxiety. We constantly seek approval from others, sometimes to avoid being laughed at by our friends, other times to dodge the dreaded, "You messed up again?" from our family. A study was conducted on over 40,000 university students. For 27 years, researchers analyzed them and recorded their levels of perfectionism, and the result is this. A staggering 97.3% showed high perfectionism scores due to social pressure. Do you know what this really means? We're so afraid of ruining our image in other people's eyes that we avoid making mistakes, and in doing so, we overload ourselves with stress and anxiety. Okay, I'm about to post on Instagram, but which one should I pick? Which one looks the coolest? I literally took 100 photos today. How can they all be bad? Alright, I have to choose one and just post it. Wait, think carefully, girl. You need the perfect caption. It has to send the right message. Let me refresh the page for the 72nd time. Let's see, who viewed my story? If you overthink every little detail just to make it perfect, you'll end up paralyzed by indecision and never take action. In psychology, this is called analysis paralysis. And as a result, you feel like you're falling behind in life again. Did you know that Steve Jobs had a weird obsession with driving cars without license plates? Since the law only allowed plate-free cars for a maximum of 6 months, he would swap out his car every 6 months, but always with the exact same model. Was it because he couldn't afford a car? Of course not. It was because he was obsessed with simplicity and minimalism. Sure, his perfectionism helped him reach the top of his field, but let's be real, it probably exhausted him mentally. Now, if you're ready, let's jump into our first exercise. 4.1. First, let's engage our senses. I am looking around. I see the clear blue sky, my cup of coffee sitting on the table, the sunlight streaming through the window, and my notebook with its slightly folded pages. Now I will try to feel things by touch. I run my fingers over the texture of my chair, feel the lightness of my pen, and notice the softness of the rug under my feet. And now I will listen to different sounds. I hear the gentle chirping of birds, the distant hum of traffic outside. Then I will try to smell a bit. I take in the rich aroma of my coffee, the faint scent of book pages. And finally, I take a sip of my coffee and taste it. By engaging our senses like this, we snap out of autopilot mode and bring our attention back to the present. Now, let's move on to a breathing exercise to help us relax. 4.2, the 4-7-8 breathing technique. How do we do it? Like this. We breathe in deeply through our nose for 4 seconds. We hold our breath for 7 seconds. Exhale slowly through our mouth for 8 seconds. When we repeat this cycle a few times, our vagus nerve kicks in, shifting our bodies into relaxation mode. The mental chaos fades away, and you focus back on the present. These techniques help for a while. Do you know what the real solution is? 4.3. Protect your patience reserve. Every time you dwell on the past or stress about the future, you're unknowingly draining yourself. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine I have 20 units of patience at the start of the day. Great, but then I wasted 5 units overthinking the issues in the past. Then I started to worry about things, and 10 more units are wasted as well. Now, how much patience do you have left? Only 5 units. How much did I have at the beginning? 20 units. Now, what if I suddenly face a situation that requires 15 units of patience? Of course, I cannot handle this with my 5 units of patience, and I would crash. You know, this is exactly what we do to ourselves. We overthink to the point that we emotionally exhaust ourselves. And yet, hasn't our Lord already promised that He will never burden a soul beyond what it can bear? If He gives 20 units of patience, He won't test you with a 21-unit trial. You know those moments when you think, everything is piling up and I just can't handle it anymore. The real reason? We're draining our patience reserves. So instead of drowning in worry, ask yourself this. Is there anything I can actually do about this? If my answer is yes, Then what am I waiting for? I need to take action, right now. Instead of wasting time worrying, how will this work out? How will it end? I should focus on doing everything in my power to make it happen. But if what's on my mind is beyond my control, then why am I even thinking about it? I can't change the past. It's done. Over. And the future hasn't even arrived yet. So why stress over something that isn't certain? Easier said than done, I know. But how do I actually apply this? If that's what you're thinking, let's break it down. Would it make sense to chug an entire gallon of water right now just because I might be thirsty next month? Of course not. It is not logical to give weight and color to future worries that haven't even happened yet. Besides, I don't even know how much time I have left in this life. My breaths are numbered, and I have no clue how many more I'll take. So, live within today. Don't carry the weight of the past or the future, because you are here right now. And honestly, a huge part of why we overthink is simply how we choose to look at things. 5. Hear someone else out. One way to break free from the overthinking cycle is to hear another perspective. According to cognitive behavioral therapy, exposing yourself to different viewpoints helps you escape rigid thought patterns and see things from a new angle. We know that this world is full of countless stories. For example, think about the children struggling with hunger in war zones, the people who have lost their homes, those waiting helplessly in hospital corridors. I once read a line in Risale Enor that stuck with me. If your hand is broken, look at those whose hands are severed. Believe me, whenever my worries spiral out of control, this reminder grounds me. No matter how heavy our burdens feel, there's always someone facing a greater challenge. And when we listen to their struggles, it not only helps them, but heals us too. We start to feel grateful, we develop compassion, and we take action. And here's the fascinating part. Every time we do something good, our brain releases dopamine, making us happier and naturally reducing anxiety. We've gone through all these strategies, but now it's time to reveal the most powerful one of all. 6. Trust the one who owns everything. Take a deep breath now and look at the perfect harmony of the universe. Every moment, every detail, all orchestrated by your Lord's mercy. He's the one who sends milk to a newborn at just the right time. He's the one who provides for me from places I never expected. Every morning, he brings the sun up for me, and every evening, he sets it down, keeping millions of tiny particles and massive galaxies in perfect obedience. Isn't he the one who gives the blessings of the fish in the deepest, darkest seas, where light has never even touched? Isn't he the one who guides an ant underground, leading it to food meters away? Isn't he the one who hears the ants whisper, yet tells me we are closer to them than their jugular vein? He knows every wound in my heart, every desire I keep buried inside. So why am I still worried when you rely on the one who owns everything? What storm could ever shake your heart when you put your trust in the one who says be, and it is? What obstacle could ever stand in your way? I know that he is infinitely more merciful than a mother who would throw herself into fire for her baby. I know that his plans for me are far greater than my own dreams. So I trust you, my Lord. Now, take a deep breath and let go of the weight you're carrying. God is one. Do not wear yourself out, having recourse to other things. Do not demean yourself and feel indebted to them. Do not flatter them and fawn on them and humiliate yourself. Do not follow them and make things difficult for yourself. Do not fear them and tremble before them, for the monarch of the universe is one. The key to all things is with him. The reins of all things are in his hand. Everything will be resolved by his command. If you find him, you will be saved from endless indebtedness, countless fears,